Part 32. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 311. She spread her hands, just be happy, I'm just bored and signed up to play. In your eyes, I'm so weak, and it shouldn't affect your boyfriend's ability to continue to win the championship. If you're so embarrassing, I'll make me think you see me as a rival. On Yao Swiba's face, Wen Qiao's familiar contemptuous expression appeared again. Su Ying snorted softly, you think too much, you are still a rival, and you are not even qualified to accompany you. What do you think the online competition is? Wen Qiao poked his ears and looked at his watch again, the on-site confirmation must be completed before 4 o'clock. There are still 10 minutes. My suggestion is to confirm it quickly, so as not to fail to participate in the competition and miss the championship. Su Ying held Yao Heng and walked towards the workbench with her eyes higher than the top. There are students from Fukai University over there, and they all know Yao Heng. Someone asked casually, who is that? Su Ying snorted softly, Yanjians. Everyone laughed, ah. Yanjians actually signed up for this kind of competition, isn't this humiliating yourself? Another humane said, forget it, for the sake of being a beautiful woman, don't say it's so ugly, the emphasis is on participation. There was a loud laughter from behind. Wen Qiao tightened her neckline, ignored it, and went out the door. I met Dong Yao at the door of the dormitory, I found some clues. Wen Qiao's heart tightened, and he walked to the flower bed with him. What clue? Did you know that there is an underground market in the center of Haikan City? Wen Qiao, I don't know. How could she know such a thing? There are all kinds of business in there. My grandfather has an old friend. He recently went to the market and seems to have something to sell. He has heard of cases with similar symptoms to yours before. Do you want to come with me? Go ask him. Wen Qiao, okay. Then go now. Wen Qiao, is it so sudden? Are you going to do anything else to prepare? It doesn't seem to be. When she got into Dong Yao's car, Fu Nanli just called. What's wrong? Wen Qiao asked. Are you at school? I'll pick you up for dinner. I'm not at school, I have something to do, I don't have time today. Is there a problem? Wen Qiao scratched his head in embarrassment, that, I have an appointment with Yu and the others. I won't tell you about the matter between the girls. Wen Qiao, who was talking on the phone with her head down, didn't notice that it was Fu Nanli in the passing car. Fu Nanli raised his eyebrows slightly and turned to look at the Mercedes-Benz SUV. The little liar lies again. It seemed that the boy from her club was driving. Fu Nanli pressed his eyebrows, okay, you don't need to go to her school. What's the matter, young master? I saw her just now, in the Mercedes-Benz that I passed by. Lao Hu asked cautiously, do you want to follow? His young master glanced at him coldly, and Lao Hu said quickly, I said the wrong thing. Go back to my apartment. The Mercedes-Benz car galloped all the way and stopped at the door of an antique shop. The facade is not big, the courtyard is deserted, and there are no guests. Isn't it the underground market? It's not the same as I imagined. Dong Yao turned off the fire, got out of the car, took her to the door of the antique shop, pushed the door, the wind chimes on the porch made a crisp sound, and behind the counter sat an old man with gray hair, wearing glasses, holding a book with his head down. Book is reading. Hearing the movement, he looked up and said, the young master is here. Dong Yao said indifferently, Uncle Yi, I have something to lead her down. The 10th update is over, ask for a monthly pass, ask for a recommendation ticket, alright. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 312. The man named Uncle Yi hooked his glasses under the bridge of his nose, pressed his head slightly, looked up at her, looked her up and down, his eyes were like torches, as if he could tell what she was thinking at a glance. Oh, go. There was a golden owl statue on the counter. He turned it slightly and saw a gap in the cabinet beside it. Wen Qiao was a little surprised, and walked to the bookcase with Dong Yao. It turned out to be a dark room. Entering the dark room is a long step, followed by a narrow corridor. Around and around, an iron door appeared in front of him. Dong Yao stretched out his hand to open the door. Wen Qiao couldn't help but let out a wow sound. As if the willows are dark and the flowers are bright, this underground is actually unique. Entering the eye is a huge hall, like an old-fashioned railway station in the Republic of China, directly opposite a huge ancient clock. When the two arrived, it was 6 o'clock in the evening, and the hour hand reached 6. Clang, clang. The heavy bell rang, echoing in the empty hall. Wen Qiao could feel the steps under his feet trembling slightly. There were people coming and going in the hall, and there were all kinds of storefronts all around, selling everything, rare antiques, precious medicinal materials, many of which were things that Wen Qiao had never seen before. The people here also look unremarkable, just ordinary people who won't let people take a second look when they walk on the road, no matter how they look or how they dress. When the two of them just opened the door, almost everyone in the hall focused their attention on them. Entering through this door, it proved that they belonged to the Dong family. This underground market was founded by the Dong family. Look at the two of them again. It should be the young master and young lady of the Dong family. Dong Yao led her downstairs, but those people were not particularly attentive. Dong Yao walked through the crowd and went straight to a shop in the southwest corner with a relatively cold business. There were two people chatting at the door, one was a young man, and the other was an old man with gray hair. "Is it Grandpa Lin?" Dong Yao asked the gray-haired old man. The old man looked back at him. "Who are you?" "My grandfather is Dong Yufu." The old man named Grandpa Lin immediately smiled. "Oh, it's Lao Dong's grandson, he's grown so big." "Grandpa Lin, I have something to ask you." "What's the matter?" Dong Yao looked around. This Grandpa Lin traveled from south to north, and with a clear glance, he said, "Go to the flower bed over there." Wen Qiao and Dong Yao followed the old man to the flower bed. It was clean and no one was there. Dong Yao said, "My grandfather said, you know a disease, that is, one person can't live without another person, right?" Grandpa Lin looked him up and down, then looked at the little girl behind him. "What?" Dong Yao didn't intend to hide it, and pulled Wen Qiao to him. "She has such a disease." Grandpa Lin frowned slightly. "What exactly?" Wen Qiao told the old man that he couldn't leave Funanli for 13 days, and the old man's face was a little solemn. "I have heard that my ancestors were the historians of the palace. Of course, it is impossible to record these in official history, but my ancestors kept this unofficial record. I read it. A concubine must stay with the emperor to survive. It seems to be 7 days. It is similar to your symptoms. After reading it, I think that my ancestors made up the material is too fake, and I only know when I see you today that the world is full of wonders." Wen Qiao's heart suddenly came to his throat, and his voice was a little urgent. "What happened to the concubine in the record? Has the disease been resolved?" Grandpa Lin, later, I fell out of favor and entered the cold palace. If I couldn't see the emperor, I died tragically in the cold palace. Winko. Excuse me. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 313. She looked at Dong Yao, and Dong Yao had an expression like "I didn't know the story was so tragic before I met Grandpa Lin." It only took Wen Qiao a few minutes to go from full of anticipation to downcast. Seeing that the little girl seemed to be discouraged, Grandpa Lin quickly patted her on the shoulder. "Don't be sad, that was ancient times, and now is a modern society with advanced medical skills. Humans can go to the moon, and there are still problems that cannot be overcome." "What about?" "You don't think so?" Wen Qiao didn't speak, and was still immersed in a sad atmosphere. Grandpa Lin said again, "I'll go home and look through the unofficial history left by my ancestors to see if the concubine has made any efforts. Little girl, don't be discouraged." Of course Wen Qiao didn't hold out hope. The concubine must only want to find a way to stay by the emperor's side and become a favorite concubine, but not to find a way to cure her strange disease. But Grandpa Lin said so, and she could only thank others for their kindness. Okay, don't be mourned. Grandpa still has something to talk about. You guys are playing with yours." Wen Qiao was sitting beside the flower bed in a daze. Dong Yao scratched the back of his head. He should ask clearly first. The truth was like a sap, which caught people off guard. "This grandfather is really..." Wen Qiao exhaled. "Forget it, at least I know that someone has the same symptoms as me, and I'm not alone anymore. There are still similarities. There is still hope, don't be discouraged. Besides, the situation between you and Fu Nanli is different from that of the emperor's concubine. Even if you break up, you can still go to see him. Then you can tell him the truth and you won't die without saving. Now you stay by Fu Nanli's side, don't show any tricks." "Okay, let's go." Wen Qiao and Dong Yao walked side by side to the exit. A young man in a camel coat stood in front of a shop selling antique coffee utensils behind him, raised his eyebrows, and said to the people around him, "Wow, that girl is really beautiful. It's pretty. Those eyes are especially beautiful. I seem to have seen very similar eyes somewhere, but the other party is obviously a man. Isn't it strange that such beautiful eyes are on a man?" "Not at all, and a very good-looking man." A little far away, Wen Qiao couldn't hear what they said and left the underground market. Fu Nanli made the 10th call, and the message, "The call you dialed is temporarily unavailable, please try again later." His face was a little gloomy, staring at the phone screen, breathing a little hard. After Wen Qiao left the underground market, he went straight to Fu Nanli's apartment. Because she just lied to him again, she would feel a little guilty when she lied, and she would want to make up for it. Fu Nanli was sitting on the sofa watching TV. The documentary channel was showing various inventions in the age of steam engines. Although his eyes were focused on the TV, his consciousness had long been wandering. The sound of pressing the password came from outside the door, and his consciousness was pulled back from the immortal wandering Taixu. Wen Qiao closed the door and turned around to see Fu Nanli sitting in the living room watching TV, changing his slippers and walking over. "Where are you going?" "I can't get through to your phone." Fu Nanli stretched out his hand, and Wen Qiao took his hand and pulled him into his arms. "Go to a place where the signal is not very good." Fu Nanli touched her soft hair, with Lu Yu. Wen Qiao pursed her lips. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 314. Fu Nanli cursed little liar in her heart and took a bite at the corner of her mouth. As long as it doesn't touch his bottom line, he can allow this little liar to tell some innocuous little lies. After all, he's a big liar himself now. When did Lu Yu look the same as Dong Yao? After all, he still couldn't hold back, and De Gongzifu's tone was full of sourness. Wen Qiao's heart skipped a beat, and her face was filled with a guilty conscience of being caught. Did you see it?" "Yes, I happened to pass by your car when I called you." The person who knows the current affairs is Junja, and Wen Qiao immediately began to admit his mistake. "I'm sorry, I didn't tell you the truth." His big hand was loosely placed on the back of her neck, rubbing her delicate skin. "What are you doing with Dong Yao?" Wen Qiao put his hands on his legs. His face was not blushing and his heart was not beating. "Dong Yao, he likes anatomy. He said he has a laboratory and borrowed an ancient creature from the museum, more than 2,000 years ago. I listened to it. Just curious, I followed him to see. The laboratory signal is not very good. Fu Nanli raised his eyebrows. Lab. Ancient creatures. Yup. Bad signal. No way. Fu Nanli smiled. Wen Qiao was apprehensive, and Fu Nanli nodded. Got it? Wen Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. I'm going to lie in the middle of the city in a few days. Do you want to come with me? Wen Qiao, how many days are you going to go? 3 or 5 days. I have to go to school. I haven't seen you for 3 or 5 days. No matter how much delay, it's impossible to delay until 13 days. Well, I see. What show do you want to watch? You can tune it yourself. Wen Qiao shrugged needlessly. I can do it. Fu Nanli picked up the remote control and flipped through it casually. It just so happened that he turned to a program where Shang Fan was being interviewed. Moreover, Shang Fan happened to mention Mu Yu. Mr. Mu Yu is very talented. I admire her very much, but it should be said that I admire her very much. Although she is young, the songs she created fit my soul very well. I really admire her. I love her songs so much. Every song, every syllable, is worth savoring carefully. It is really a combination of talent and beauty, and she is my goddess. Wen Qiao could feel that Fu Nanli's breathing was a little disordered beside him, so he was not very happy. Quickly took over the remote control. Let's not watch this. Fu Nanli held his hand. Look, let's see how many things he can say to compliment you. Wen Qiao felt a chill on the back of his neck, and reached out to take a drink from the cup beside him. The host also watched the fun and didn't think it was a big deal. Mr. Shang really complimented Mr. Mu Yu, so is it possible for the two of you to become a couple? Wen Qiao choked and coughed loudly. Fu Nanli took out 2 tissues to help her wipe it, and patted her on the back lightly. Why are you panicking? Wen Qiao, I'm not panicking. Why should I panic? Obviously, not convincing. On the TV, Shang Fan quickly waved his hand. No, no, definitely no. Wen Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. The host was a little puzzled. Why? You guys are talented and feminine, and you still resonate very well, so they fit very well. Wen Qiao saw that the blue veins on the back of Fu Nanli's hand were slightly bulging. She really felt that the host had nothing to say. Why did she mention her so well? Male talent and female appearance, resonance, fit, all are harsh. I see Teacher Mu Yu as an idol. Shang Fan's face sank slightly. The host was really confused. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 315. The host also felt that he was a little unhappy, and hurriedly said, Idol's idol, Teacher Mu Yu is very lucky. Wen Qiao quickly picked up the remote control and turned off the TV. I don't think there's anything to see. Fu Nanli rubbed her head. Because Shang Fan did not shy away from his admiration for Mu Yu, he would also at Wen Qiao from time to time on Weibo. The number of Wen Qiao's Weibo followers has grown very fast. Since her identity as Mu Yu was exposed, her fans have risen to 1 million in more than 4 months from November to March now. A proper big V. Well, Sulu has about the same number of fans as her. But every time Wen Qiao posts a Weibo, the number of comments is usually 2 or 3,000, and the number of likes is over 10,000. And Sulu's comments are in 200 or 300, and the number of likes is only 1 or 2,000. Apparently, her economic company bought her a lot of zombie fans. Sulu knew that her popularity was very empty now, so she made a request to her agent, Sister Lee, look at other people's business fans. Whenever there is an interview, Mu Yu will be mentioned, and at Wen is also often on Weibo. Qiao, can you ask Shen Mu to mention me often? After all, I composed a few popular songs for him. Sister Lee was a little speechless when she received her unreasonable request. Did you make it yourself and you have no point in your mind? But the boss asked her to support the girl, and she could only collect money to do things. You are very popular now, and you are the image spokesperson of Yanjian. What do you care about? I can still be more red. She felt that she was dissatisfied with everything, and Chen Mu did not fawn on her like Shang Fan fawned over Wen Qiao, and the economic company did not allow her to be interviewed by herself. Although she could represent Yanjian, she could only be in the limelight. Out of school. Too limited. She could no longer satisfy this level of vanity. She wants more and more. Sister Lee was a little helpless. You have to take your time, one step at a time. Sister Lee, can I participate in some variety shows? No, Sister Lee refused. Sulu's face was ashen. Don't variety shows have scripts now? You can choose and find one that suits me, right? I'm more popular, won't I make you more money? Don't be too rigid. Yes. Sister Lee was dissatisfied and reported to her superior, I'm afraid this girl will not obey our control in the future. If it is really unregulated, then change someone to support it, and change it to a good one. Sister Lee, okay, I understand. The reply Sulu received was you should weigh the weight of yourself, and be a man of your own. Otherwise, it will be a castle in the air and it will easily collapse. I hope you will remember what I said. Where can Sulu listen to persuasion? She now thinks that her economic company will only hold her back, isn't it just packaging and marketing? Anyway, she is already famous, she wants to find an economic company that is willing to support her, she wants to transform, her talent for composing is fake, but she really plays the piano well. She has to plan for herself as soon as possible. But she didn't know that she was just a pawn used by others to check and balance Wen Qiao. If the pawn was disobedient, it would be abandoned. The college online league was scheduled for March 12. Wen Qiao entered the computer room with the admission ticket and ID card, and sat down according to his seat. Log into the exam page, and you can see the registered participants of the entire Haiken University. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 316. You can log in with your real name or anonymously for this test. Wen Qiao looked through it and saw only a few alumni of Yanjian. Their test area is basically a reopened world. When he saw Yao Heng's name, he also saw Yao Heng's name. Su Ying's name. This online contest is a virtual firewall bug fix test. It's very simple, whoever has the shortest time is the champion. Wen Qiao moved her scapula, and her fingers fluttered on the keyboard as the invigilator said the exam begins. This level of examination is too easy for her. The exam time was 1.5 hours, and when she finished submitting the program, the time had just passed 12 minutes. Someone in the same test area submits the test paper, and other test takers can see it from the interface. Yao Heng's pupils in another exam room suddenly shrank. So fast? Submit in 12 minutes? His heart beat a little faster, and then he sneered lightly in his heart. Fast delivery doesn't mean his program is right. He can't be interrupted by the opponent. Wen Qiao submitted the program, and did not leave the examination room. He held his chin and played the only game on the computer, Minesweeper. After all, she took the exam anonymously. If she left the exam room too early, it would be easy to spread the word. It is better to wait for a few more people to submit it before going out together. Minesweeper played 2 games before Wen Qiao saw that Yao Heng had submitted the program and couldn't help sighing. I played 2 more games with patience, and finally, more and more people submitted. Wen Qiao saw that 7 or 8 people had walked in the examination room, so he got up, packed up his admission ticket and put his ID card in his pocket, and left the teaching building. When I went out, I saw Yao Heng standing beside the flower bed in front of the teaching building. Wen Qiao and the others are all taking the exam again. There is only one exam center in the university town here. Yao Heng is waiting for his girlfriend Su Ying. When he saw Wen Qiao, he smiled contemptuously. He had been waiting outside for a while before this Wen Qiao came out. Apparently the computer repair at the last wedding was a coincidence. Wen Qiao put his hands in his pockets, walked slowly past Yao Heng, and soon heard Su Ying's voice behind him. "Isn't that Wen Qiao?" Yao Heng, well. The last time I saw her ability, it was not submitted at the same time as me. Don't worry, this time it will definitely be your first. Several of Yao Heng's classmates also began to congratulate him in advance. If you win the championship, you need to invite me to dinner. What shall we eat? You decide, I can do it. Wen Qiao shrugged and left Fukai University. Fu Nanli went to Midtown the next day and took a flight. It happened to be a weekend. Wen Qiao ran to his apartment in the morning and took him to the airport. It could be considered a meeting with him before his business trip. The car galloped all the way to the airport. In the VIP waiting room, Wen Qiao took his hand and said, "Come back when you're done, Fu Nanli stood, took the man into his arms, put her hand around his waist, and looked down at her. "Can't you do without me?" He just wanted to hear it, whether she meant it or not. Wen Qiao nodded, "Well, I can't live without you." Fu Nanli put her arms around her and squeezed her face with the other. "If the trip is delayed and you really miss me, go find me there yourself, I'll send the address to your phone." "Well, will the trip be delayed?" "Hard to say." Wen Qiao nodded, "Well, if I miss you, I'll fly over to find you by myself. The truth is, if the 13-day deadline is approaching, I'll have to go to you." Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 317. Fu Nanli rubbed the top of her hair, well. After sending Fu Nanli off, Wen Qiao went back to school. As soon as she pushed the door into the dormitory, Chen Xiao ran over and grabbed Wen Qiao's hand. Qiao, can you be my model?" Wen Qiao, what model?" "I plan to open a Hanfu store in Dobao. I will design it myself, make the board, and go to the factory to customize it, but there is a shortage of models." Both Yo-Yo and Lin Xiang have agreed. "Can you?" Wen Qiao touched his neck. "I'm very stiff when taking pictures." "It doesn't matter, you can go to that station without any posture. You can design Hanfu." "Well, I can draw and make pictures. I have been playing Hanfu since the 6th grade. After so many years of experience, I have a lot of ideas, and I drew a lot of drafts. I'll show you guys later." Wen Qiao didn't know much about this either. "You're amazing. You are my models. If you make money, I will give you dividends. If you don't make money, I will work for a year and close the shop." Wen Qiao waved, "Don't talk about money, I'll be a model for you." Cheng Xiao's entrepreneurship made Wen Qiao start to look directly at his idea of starting a club. It's already mid-March and Xiao Kai and Xiaomo are about to take the senior high school entrance examination. After the high school entrance examination, she agreed to let Xiao Kai join the club, but CG didn't want him, and Wen Qi also went to see the other two clubs. He personally didn't like the atmosphere inside, and the big players suppressed the youth trainees. Happens sometimes. Wen Qiao thought about starting a club by himself. Just do it. The next day, Wen Qi, Xiaobo, Dingai and the others were doing homework at her house, and Wen Qiao took Wen Mo out. Wen Mo looked at her with big eyes, as if he didn't know what his sister was going to take him to. Wen Qiao pressed the brim of his hat. Let's go to the suburbs to see the house. When Emo wrote on the phone what house to see. When Xiao, sister is planning to open a club. When Emo, do you want to open it late for when? Well, but don't tell him, I'm afraid he knows that the boss is his sister. He is too floating to play the game down to earth. When Emo nodded. The two took the subway for 40 minutes, went to the suburbs, and found a small 3-story office building for sale in a business park. Wen Xiao is very satisfied with the environment. She didn't consider renting a house, she just wanted to buy a house. A house in the suburbs, with a small third floor, should be able to win 5 or 6 million. In this way, at least it will not face the problem of changing positions because of the free rent increase in the future. The intermediary was at the gate of the park early. When he saw Wen Xiao and the others coming, he was not at ease. He had been using WeChat to contact him. The other party was very talkative. Until Wen Xiao got close, he stepped forward and said, "Is it Mr. Chen from the intermediary?" Only then did Chen Jun stand up straight. "Who are you?" "We're here to buy a house." Chen Jun looked up and down at Wen Xiao and his brother, and couldn't help but ask, "Didn't the parents come?" Wen Xiao, "Just me by two." Chen Jun, "You sure?" Wen Xiao raised her eyebrows, "Sure, let's lead the way." Chen Jun kept muttering in his heart, "This business will definitely not be done today." The environment of the business park is good, because it is in the suburbs, and the gap between each building is very large. Chen Jun took them to a small office building in the middle. There were small gardens in the front and back. There were a lot of flowers, plants, and trees in the yard. Go through the yard and open the door. The interior was well decorated. Eat, drink and live. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 318. Wen Xiao visited up and down and asked Chen Jun, "How much does it cost to buy it?" Chen Jun's attitude was a little perfunctory, 6.5 million, little girl, how old are you, will the bank lend you a loan? No job, no repayment ability, no provident fund loan, and no commercial loan bank will approve it. What is he doing, tossing with 2 children for so long? Wen Xiao's face was a little dignified, 6.5 million, a little too much. Fu Nanli has several million with her, but she doesn't want to touch Fu Nanli's money. The money she earned by herself and the rest given by Wen Jianmin was only more than 4 million yuan. Much worse. Wen Xiao said sincerely, "Can I let the landlord let me down? I'll buy it in full." Chen Jun almost couldn't help rolling his eyes. The little girl was young and her tone was not small, and she still bought it in full. For the sake of the little girl's beauty, he said earnestly, "Little girl, if you really want to buy a house, bring your parents here. Brother, I still have things to do. It's not easy for us to eat this bowl of rice." Winko. When Xiao took out his mobile phone, opened the bank's app, opened my account, covered his bank card number, and showed Chen Jun the balance in RMB, "Brother, can I buy a house? There are 4 million deposits in this account." Chen Jun's pupils suddenly shrank. It turned out that he was a rich second generation with millions of pocket money. In a sense, he was right. The pocket money that Fu Nanli gave was all in the millions. Seeing the balance of Wen Xiao's account, Chen Jun's attitude immediately made a 180-degree turn, wishing to take Wen Xiao as his father. I'm sorry, I think you're too young and think you're joking. I currently only have 4 million, and I can only borrow 1 million. You negotiate the price with the landlord. I will pay the full amount anyway, and he can put the full amount in the bank to earn interest. He should also know this. There will be a price for sure. Chen Jun said quickly, yes, I will definitely talk to the landlord well. If this order is completed, he can make a lot of money. The agency commission is 5% of the house price. If this order is completed, he will be able to achieve the turnover for the whole year this year. Big client. On the way back, Wen Xiao's face was a little dignified. Xiao Mo, I estimate that the landlord's asking price is at most 6 million, and it is still 2 million, but what should I do? Wen Mo's eyes were a little turbulent, and he wrote a sentence: there must be a way. What my sister wants to do, I have to create the conditions to do it for my sister. When he went back that night, Wen Xiao saw that Xiao Mo had been watching the welfare lottery channel. His face was particularly solemn, and he was very absorbed in it until it was 12 o'clock in the evening. The next day, Chen Jun called her and said that the landlord was willing to let 300,000 yuan. That is 6.2 million. Wen Xiao said she couldn't afford it and cut it to 5.5 million. Chen Jun took a deep breath. Over there, sister, you are too ruthless, you cut 1 million. You can talk to me again. When Mo watched the welfare lottery channel for a few days and ate his meals in front of the TV. On the fourth day, I picked up a big bag and entered the room mysteriously. Wen Xiao didn't take it seriously. In the middle of the night, there was a knock on the door. She opened the door and saw Wen Mo holding a lottery ticket in front of her. Million. Wen Xiao, huh? Pulling people into the room, Wen Mo wrote, I studied the welfare lottery platform for a few days, the winning rules of the two-color ball, and then bought a lottery ticket of 10,000 yuan, and the lottery ticket with the 3 million jackpot was among the 5,000 lottery tickets. I scratched 2,000 sheets, and I scratched them after deducting the tax payment. I have a little over 2 million left, just enough to buy a house. Ask for a monthly pass, ask for a monthly pass, I have already entered 100. Let's set a small goal, enter the top 50, group MUA. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 319. Wen Xiao was amazed. It's too easy for a mathematician to make a fortune. Is it easy? Wimmer somewhat complicated. Wen Xiao touched his head. Our little Mo is really a genius. It's amazing. You've solved my sister's urgent needs. You're amazing. When Mo smiled, his sister was happy, and he was happy. Chen Jun also sent a message: the landlord has let 5.9 million yuan. If you agree, then we will meet on the 22nd. The landlord has returned from abroad. Let's go to the housing authority to transfer the property. Sister, the landlord said, if you haggle again, he will not do this business. Wen Xiao replied cheerfully, did I go directly to the housing authority that day? Send me the address. Chen Jun breathed a sigh of relief. It was done. It just so happened that Wen Xiao and the others would take a few days to collect their lottery prizes and pay taxes, and the money was just in time to buy a house. It was Wen Xiao who went to the lottery agency to receive the prize. She wore a cap and a mask. People who won the lottery usually didn't show their true colors. They were always afraid of others. But some media still took pictures and posted them online. When Wen Xiao and Wen Mo went home after receiving the prize money, Wen Qi held up his mobile phone. Hey, Wen Xiao, this winner looks like you. Wen Xiao almost choked. Ah. Which one? Wen Qi came over and showed her the news on her phone. Look, it really looks like you. Wen Xiao, how could it be me? How can I have such good luck? Can I still tell you if I won the lottery? Wen Qi touched his neck. What are you two doing? Take Xiao Mo to Dr. Chen's place. Isn't it really you? Wen Xiao, have you finished your homework? Let's start playing games. There is also an English paper. There are 2 questions that I can't understand. I want to wait for Xiao Mo to come back and tell me about it. Xiao Mo, you teach him. After successfully changing the topic, Wen Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. A few days later, Wen Qiao took Wen Mo, the intermediary and the landlord to the housing management office to transfer money. The landlord, like Chen Jun, couldn't believe that his house was bought by a girl who just turned 20, thinking that it must be some kind of super rich second generation. After all the formalities were completed, De Hong's real estate certificate was handed over to Wen Qiao, with her name written on it. Wen Qiao felt at ease. She also had her own property. Chen Jun told her that the nearby Zhejiao Airport Business District may expand in the next 2 years, and the Zhejiao CBD Business District may cover this area. By then, house prices will definitely rise, and she will make a steady profit with this investment. The landlord also sold the domestic real estate because he immigrated to Australia to start a company and needed money urgently. Sister, if you want to buy a house in the future, you will find brother, you know? Brother will definitely do it for you beautifully. Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows, give me the most affordable price, and I will find you. Ancestor, aren't you satisfied with the price this time? Wen Qiao shrugged, it's okay, you still have room to work hard. Although I'm not old, I know a little bit about real estate. I see, you are fine. Oh, I forgot to ask, who is the developer? Zhongchen Company under Zhonghuan Group specializes in commercial buildings. Wen Qiao was speechless, so those buildings belong to the Fu family, so she could be considered a small contribution to the turnover of Fu Nanli's family. The building was bought. She counted the time. She hadn't seen Fu Nanli for 9 days. He told her yesterday that the financial and real estate developer from HK, Hong Kong, invited him to go there, and then he went with the businessman from HK. Going back to Zhongcheng to see the ground together is to delay some time and let her go to Zhongcheng to find him these 2 days. Another chapter, ask for a monthly ticket, don't forget to vote for a recommended ticket. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 320. It happened to be the weekend, and Wen Qiao booked a flight to Midtown the next day. Fu Nanli personally picked her up at the airport. Wen Qiao followed the crowd to the exit and saw Fu Nanli standing at the pickup gate. Zhongcheng is located in the southern coastal city. When Haiken still needs to wear a coat, Zhongcheng can already wear a single piece. He was wearing a white shirt, black suit, and trousers, with one hand in his trouser pocket, tall and long legs, standing at the airport gate like a god. His expression was relaxed, and every passenger who came out of the exit couldn't help but cast him a ball glance. When Qiao dragged the suitcase to speed up the pace, Fu Nanli stretched out his hand and made a hug, and Wen Qiao flew into his arms. With some excitement. The women who passed by were all sour in their hearts. Hey, the handsome guy has a girlfriend. On time, lucky. Fu Nanli rubbed her head, sit on it. Sitting for a while, I want to walk. Fu Nanli gave the suitcase to Lao Hu Tui, while he went out with his arms around Wen Qiao. It is cloudy outside, the temperature is in the 20s, neither cold nor hot, the air is humid and very comfortable. Where are we going? It's lunchtime, go have lunch first, and go see the land with me in the afternoon, eh? Wen Qiao felt novel, do you look at the ground? Is it a trade secret? Can I go with you? Fu Nanli chuckled, mine is yours, what kind of business secret? Wen Qiao felt a little guilty and didn't say a word. At noon, I went to the most high-end Cantonese restaurant in Midtown. The dishes are exquisite, and the authentic Cantonese food is rich in taste. Wen Qiao didn't eat airplane food. At this moment, I was really hungry, and I was very satisfied. Fu Nanli used public chopsticks to help her prepare vegetables, pour her drinks, and peel and shell her shrimp, as if feeding a small hamster. Watching her eat with bulging cheeks gave her a sense of accomplishment. In the afternoon, the sky became more and more gloomy, and it seemed that heavy rain was coming. The general manager of Zhonghuan Zhongcheng branch took Fu Nanli to an urban village near the city. The scale of the urban village is very large. The houses were built in the 1980s and 1990s. It is common for illegal construction in the community. The outer walls of the houses are mottled and old, and the entire community looks chaotic. According to what you mean, sir, demolition and reconstruction can be carried out here. You can take a look. Fu Nanli took Wen Qiao's hand and walked on the small road in the urban village. The woman was washing clothes at the door, and a basin of water was splashed. Fu Nanli quickly pulled Wen Qiao into her arms, and the water splashed on their trouser legs. Fu Nanli frowned. The general manager stepped forward and reasoned with the woman, "Didn't you see anyone passing by? Why are you splashing water?" The woman copied a strong dialect, but Wen Qiao didn't understand it. It wasn't a good word anyway. Fu Nanli raised his hand, "Forget it. This piece of land can be taken. Which companies are bidding for?" "There are us Zhonghuan, as well as Kaisa, Lucan, and some relatively small companies that do not constitute competitiveness." Fu Nan bowed his head, "Well, you go get the tender first, and I'll give you the price then." The general manager is clear, and the young master obviously knows how much to bid for a successful bid without taking advantage of it. After looking around the village in the city, it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and suddenly there were raindrops in the sky. They had already wandered to the back door. The cars were all at the front door, and it would take a while to get there. The rain was getting heavier and heavier. Fu Nanli took Wen Qiao and ran to the eaves of a convenience store at the back door to hide from the rain. The rain brought a burst of rain and mist, and it fell down the eaves, washing the new green of the trees in front of him. Wen Qiao was hugged by Fu Nanli, and the mist was blowing on his face. Wen Qiao hugged his waist and felt his body temperature.